So I found this little gem hidden away in the darkness of the internet. It was uploaded July 7th this year, and it's by Blue Collar Logic, which I guess is supposed to pander to like conservatives who lost their jobs in the steel mill or something along those lines. And it's called 10 Quick Examples of Black Privilege. Hear me out. So this is exactly what we're going to do, everyone. We're going to hear this man out. We're going to hear this man out and hear what he has to say about 10 quick examples of how the blacks have the privilege. Yes, that's true. Example 1, they can say the N-word without people getting mad. Example 2, they look really cool when they sag day pants. Example 3, my wife left me for one. Example. Okay, let's hit it.
One guy told me that I proved my white privilege by not noticing it. Quote, privilege is invisible to those who have it, unquote. So I thought, if white privilege is invisible, maybe African Americans don't see their black privilege.
Yes, this is very healthy thing to think.
But since half of white America is dead set on making black people into permanent victims, I think it's time to list a few of the special.
There it is. And there it is. Permanent victims. Yeah, look, maybe the whole like 200 years of slavery and the 150 years of Jim Crow and redlining only stopping 56 years ago. Maybe that's permanent victims. Pull yourself up by your N-word straps.
Rights, advantages, and immunities that are only available to blacks. Okay, I'll address this to the black Americans who think they have no advantages. Here we go. 10 examples in no particular order. Hip-hop music.
No, it's already falling apart. It's step 1 on 1. It's 1:30 into this. No, hip. 10 immunities and privileges that are only available to blacks. Step 1, hippity hop music. They listen to hip hop and they look cool when they do it in they lowrider. But when I listen to hip hop, people call me, people say I don't look cool. Step 2, I mean, come on now. Let's hear him out. We said we'll hear him out.
If you're white and want to be in a band and get some chicks and popularity, you have to spend hundreds of hours learning to play an instrument or sing. Then you have to find other players, soundproof a garage, learn tons of songs, and eventually tour the country in a van, hoping to be noticed.
This is absolute. I don't know. My man is still living in the 1930s, dude. I'm sorry. No, absolutely not. This does not exist. There are people who get swept off the street and go to like vocal training courses for like 3 months and then drop their first single and then instantly become rich. Okay. Whites. Yeah, this is literally doing the white people can't do rap. Yeah, like there are lots and lots of people, especially the music is so accessible to your average human being that this is impossible to think like white people just like play the guitar and learn to sing and then travel the country in their van, and that's the way white people do it. But then some like kid on the street will do a hippity hop and sing about drugs and bitches and then become a millionaire. Like this just doesn't happen. There are lots of people on through both races that go nowhere with their music. That absolutely go nowhere with their music.
If you're black, you just have to talk shit and make it rhyme.
No. This is talk shit and make it rhyme, and this is not what like other music is. What do you say? This is that's his impression of hip hop. I know for a fact this dude has watched this dude comes every night to the to Ben Shapiro's Hip Hop Is Not Music Because My Dad Said So. Type like really stupid stuff. This is really dumb. This is really dumb. Dude, ever heard of pop? Ever heard of pop? Like, ever heard of like R&B or whatever? You really think that hip hop is so easy? You ever look at like people trying to do hip hop and they sound really stupid? Hip hop is really hard. It is really hard. It's poetry. Like at the end, like everyone thinks that they can do hip hop until they actually try and do hip hop. It is extremely hard. It is an extremely difficult thing to do. As anybody who's ever tried to do like freestyle, any like kid who grew up in the suburbs listening to like Post Malone and Lil Wayne, who tried to sit at their birthday table. My bad. I saw Kat say birthday in chat. Tried to sit at their lunch table at lunchtime at school, try and come up with a freestyle with their friends, knows for a fact that freestyle is incredibly difficult. Rap is an incredibly difficult thing to do to make it sound good. Music in general is incredibly difficult, but hip hop, I think, has its own special style and flavor that if you try to replicate without knowing the ins and outs of, or have a deep understanding of, will sound corny and stupid. Okay? So just to say that talk shit and make it rhyme is what makes rap is completely a farce. All right. And I could just say the same thing about, freaking country. Okay. Cause this is what every country song has. I'm no city boy. I love the farmer's daughter riding in my tractor, something, something pickup truck, something, something cowboy. And then something to do with moonshine, and that's it. That's it. That's literally it. That's country. That's all of country. And I'm not saying that country's necessarily bad. I'm not gonna say country's bad, but it's not like it's really hard to make a country song. Okay, it's just not. You don't talk about very many. You don't go into really deep topics like you can with like rap or something else with a country song. You can, all right, and that's touted by a lot of people who look similar to a man like this, in the Midwest or something along those lines. It's super condescending to say that. It's really dumb. It's not a good point.
If you're charismatic or somewhat intimidating, and you know a nerdy dude who can make beats, you're on your way.
No, that's it. Privilege. What you don't think like white people can do that? Dog, ever heard of like Eminem, like one of the most influential rappers ever, who's white and is like world renowned for his rapping capabilities? Like, he's white. Like, I mean, ever heard a track by like Post Malone or something? He's white too. They're Beastie Boys. Go ahead. Like other people, there are lots of people who are in rap who do a lot of work, but okay.
Physical superiority.
Wait, what? No, please don't tell me, dude. I was joking about saying talking about being a cuck. Wait a second. Please don't tell me that he's like Tyrone, who lives in the house next door to me, is really intimidating and really bad. And he's just really big. He's so big and strong, and I want him to fuck my wife. But he's really big. Physical superiority. Is he gonna be like black people have the warrior gene and they're just so big?
Look at basketball and football. 80.
No, stop, please run, dude, run. We have to get out of here. Okay, you can't look at just basketball and football and be like, black people are so big and strong, dude. You're already selecting from a bias. They have to be tall to get anywhere in basketball. You have to be, well, actually, you don't have to be big and strong to get anywhere in football. Actually, you can be like a running back or a quarterback. You don't have to be that big or strong. There are dudes who are like shorter than me and who are like in the world in the Hall of Fame in football. Yeah, run flat. Yeah, you run very fast. Black people just run so fast.
Percent of NBA players,
but they can't swim,
are black, and 70% of NFL players are black. If blacks and whites each made up half of the population, you could write that off to hard work. But blacks are less than 13% of the population, and whites are 72%. So with almost 3/4 of the total bodies, we can't even get to 1/4 of total basketball players. It's not quite as pathetic in football, but damn close. On average, blacks are bigger, faster, and stronger. That's called physical superiority. I'll leave it at that.
Holy crap, he's literally making, wow, he just thinks that black people are just born big, strong boys. Okay, listen, we have to break this down for 1 second, okay? Because this is a really stupid argument. For one, it's a massive selection bias to pick from basketball or football players because those people, it's a very physical sport that your physique plays a lot of role into. I'm sorry, but a dude who's 4'11" isn't going to get too far in basketball. That's just not going to happen. A dude who's 4'11" can get really far in like STEM. A dude who's 4'11" maybe even be able to get really far in like, I don't know, maybe tennis or something. But a 4'11" dude isn't going to get very far in basketball. They're not going to get very far in maybe in like baseball. They're not going to get very far in football. They're just not. They may not even get that far in like soccer. You're just not. Your physical capabilities is very important. So obviously those people are already selected out due to the selection bias of the sport and what it calls for. Okay. 1 and 2, why do black people make up so much of these sports? Well, because they've been systematically redlined and gerrymandered into specific districts that make it so they don't have less opportunity to get by. So with less job opportunities, traditional ones, they're more likely to get to lean towards things like sports. You have the opportunity to get by with sports because you're going to get a scholarship, and then you're able to go to college to do other things with your life, and then maybe you even want to parlay that into like an actual a football career in the NFL. That's why more black people go there. White people don't have to go there because they're not usually as pressured to go into those sorts of go into those sorts of things. They're usually given more opportunity, so obviously there'll be less people who want to go there. It's not because black people are just born bigger, faster, and stronger. Like they're the perfect. He's like blacks. They're just so big and strong and fast. They're the perfect human. Okay.
Preferential hiring. Imagine that you are running a high-profile company. You have 2 candidates who can do the job. They're both smart, hardworking, qualified, and about the same age. They're both attractive and likable. The only difference is that one is white and one.
What do you mean attractive? What do you mean one's like super hot, like freaking? My man, this guy like a hiring manager or something? He plays smash or pass when he gets like a new application. What are you talking about? It's really weird. But okay. I mean, do your thing, Chief. Don't let me stop you.
Is black. Who would you choose? Name me one single profession where the black candidate doesn't have the edge. Take your time. Let me know in the comments. COVID.
How often does this happen though? Because of the socio-economic system black people are put under, they're less likely to be in that position in the first place. Okay. And without those, what do they have? A disadvantage. So honestly, is it really an advantage, or is it evening the playing field? Because black people are less likely to get the job if they are similarly situated to a white person without these sorts of laws in place. So is it really an advantage, or is it evening the playing field? Just, you can ponder that question for a second.
19 preference. For the first 10 weeks of COVID-19, all Americans were locked up, deprived of our freedoms, unable to see a concert or a sporting event or take a girl to a movie. We were all—
Yes, because that's what America is built. That's what America is built around. Those are the true freedoms, dude. Fuck the Bill of Rights. I'm talking about my real freedoms, like going to see a basketball game, or taking this new smoking hot babe out to a out to a date. That's what really matters. What system, if you work hard, you'll succeed? I mean, just look at America. There's a 30% our social mobility, which means the mobility of you being able to go from poor to middle class and middle class to upper class is 30% all across the country. So you don't really have that big of an opportunity to work hard and get ahead. And that's with productivity as in the highest level it's ever been in the entire human entire human race. How did you find this? Well, Quentin, I have a secret mouse tool. All right. It's a secret tool that helps me out later. It's I'm in, and basically what that means is I'm in Vosh's Discord and I just scroll through his content suggestion list.
All equal. And then a guy named George Floyd was killed by a white cop. Suddenly, none of the rules applied to black people. The very same people who freaked out—
Wait a second, I'm sorry.
The edge. For the first 10 weeks of COVID-19, all Americans were locked up, deprived of our freedoms, unable to see a concert or a sporting event or take a girl to a movie. We were all equal. And then a guy named George Floyd was killed by a white—
Well, not all equal. Actually, black people suffered far worse. And also Hispanic people and other poor minorities suffered far worse. And poor people in general suffered far worse under COVID than other better situated people did. They were more likely to lose their jobs. They were more likely to be laid off. Now with the eviction crisis, more likely to be kicked out of their homes. So it's not like they really had that same freedom of just sitting at home, because they were kicked out of their homes. They don't have a home anymore. They had that. They had less access to housing. They had poor living conditions, which means they had more likely to have pre-existing conditions, meaning they had a higher susceptibility to die to COVID. No, we weren't all equal. That never existed. Absolutely not. It didn't happen. but he can pretend it did because he doesn't actually care about these issues. He's just here to get cheap dunk points.
Cops, suddenly none of the rules applied to black people. The very same people who freaked out when relatively small groups of white people protested the shutdowns in May, well, they stood and cheered for the thousands of black people who crowded the streets in the middle of June.
Okay, so let's take this one. Don't you think that the people who support the lockdowns would be opposed to people who are opposed to the lockdowns, but also understand that you can be supportive of a movement while still advocating for people to be cautious? You can look at a lot of these protests. You can look at the old gun rights, no mask protests like back in May, who were literally like, we shouldn't wear no mask, and they were wearing no mask, and they were coughing into each other's mouths to make a point. Don't you think that lots of people would be against that, but also be for lots of these BLM protesters who are almost always wearing masks, who have now been cracked down on by the police in many situations? Like, you can even be against both people being in crowds while still supporting the movement in and of itself. Okay. And then actually that's even on top of the fact that there was a study taken out that said that the BLM protests have actually lessened the spread, have had a net negative impact on COVID-19 spread, because it made it less likely for other people to do other things. When you close down the street, it's less likely for people to go out and then interact with other people, increasing the likelihood that someone is going to spread COVID to another person. The protests have had a net negative effect on COVID, but he doesn't care about that. He just cares, well, white people tried to protest you, they said it bad, but then black people do the protest and they say it's good. Black privilege exists. Like, okay, this is just mad stupid.
And the new COVID spikes, those are blamed on white people socializing.
I mean, that's just true. I don't know who's ever said, look at these dang darn white people done socializing. I mean, we could just see, like, there was another, like, pro-Trump anti-mask. Did you guys see that? The, like, parade those people held in, like, a Target or something? They were, like, skipping. There's, like, a group of people skipping through a Target, like, hey, ho, ho, these dang masks have got to go. And they, like, ripped off their masks and started breathing into, like, grandma's mouth, who was trying to pick up, like a roll of toilet paper in Walmart. Like, did you see that? I mean, I just don't see black people doing that specifically, but I don't know why anyone drew this up on race. It seems like he's really pulling out the race card here. It's kind of weird.
To do the math. Your own army.
Wait, what? Black? There's a black army? Have I missed something? Your own army? I didn't know there was a black army. Well, let's hear.
I had an army of pretentious white people to fight my battles. I don't, but I would if I was black. Democrats are not only required to fight black people's battles, they will track down and abuse other white people who don't fight black people's battles.
Wait, so it's a privilege to have people who, like, care about. So it's a specific black privilege to have people. Yeah, the hidden black army is actually Antifa. The Antifa, like, underground super soldiers who are waiting to crawl from like a manhole covers, like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, to go fight whiteness or something. Dude, I don't know what you're talking about. If that's the case, then the entire country is a white army. That's the white army. I because they're all white. They all want things that benefit white interests. What are you talking about? It's like big stupid. It's incredibly stupid.
And if there are no battles to fight, well, they'll just make up a few and then fight them. Pretty sweet, eh?
What are you talking about? They'll make up a battle. What do you mean? Can you give me an example of a battle that people have just made up? Like an actual, not like a Twitter back and forth that you had with someone with like 3 likes, but like an actual battle, like something of any relevance to anything on the world stage or local politics. Can you tell me? I don't think you can, because that's a really stupid thing to say. White people are going to always want to advocate for things in white people's interests, for the most part. So I just don't know. It's really weird. It's really weird. I can say that a lot of like white liberals are pretty cringe when it comes to like the black people thing. And a lot of it is like a virtue signaling without doing any real work. But the fact that 10% of the American adults was physically a part of a BLM rally, that means a lot.
Sadly, this has proved to be very injurious to black Americans, so maybe this one isn't a privilege. The N-word.
No, stop. We can't keep watching this. We have to stop. This has to go. I can't keep. We've gone too far. Please don't tell me. Please, I was just joking. I was making memes at the beginning when I was like, he's gonna be like, oh, black people can say the N-word. Please, no. More? No. Dude, I need a hazmat suit. I need a hazmat suit for this like ungodly amount of cringe. This is me standing right next to the Chernobyl reactor levels of like radiation cringe that I'm getting right now. No human being should be subjected to this much cringe. This is really bad.
I grew up in California, so I might not be the best example, but I don't think I've ever heard a white person call a black person the N-word.
I mean, I have, not to me specifically, but yeah, I mean, like in real life, people have said it in chat. People have, wow, this is an anecdote. I've never heard a white person call a black person the N-word in real life when I was living in California. Nice. Okay.
I, like all white people, am not even allowed to pronounce that word in a discussion about that word. But I can't watch a black comedy show or listen to a black rapper without hearing the word constantly. Blacks say the word so often that it might be the word they say more often than any other word. But if you're white...
Wait, what? Do you think that like 60% of the words black people speak is the N-word? 60% of the words? I would love to do an example right now, but I can't say the N-word on Twitch. It's like that. It's like you know what this dude did? You know what this his all of his information is? He watched the what is it? He watched that one scene with Lamar from GTA 5. It was like, if you get rid of that yee ass haircut, maybe Tanisha call you a dog ass. That's what he watched, and he was like, ah yes, black people only say the N-word. He will only say the word. So I'm white? Yeah, that's true. I am white. Here Twitch takes my black card. I have to leave every time I start a Twitch stream. I have to leave it at the door. You know, it's like the car keys when you get into a party. You have to drop it into a bucket. I have to drop the black card into a bucket. I have to drop the N-word past there. I have to. I have my initials on it to make sure no one takes it by accident. But yeah, Twitch forces me to absolve myself of the N-word every time I start a stream. It's pretty sad. Yeah, he's interacting with Lil Wayne. Yeah, that's true. Black people say the N-word more than any other word. Oh, is that really a privilege? Having a word that that has so much suffering and pain behind it that people don't even like the group of people who as a group inflicted that pain on them in this country. Is that really a privilege to have? Is that really a privilege to like walk around with the shadow of slavery? Is that really a privilege? Just think about this for 1 second. He's literally like a word used to signify like you being a lesser, not even citizen, you being a piece of property. That's a privilege. That's a privilege. Okay. Super interesting. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's just thinking, I wish I could say the N-word when I listen to. He's like, he's taking the Destiny route. He's like, when I listen to a Dave Chappelle skit, I want to say the N-word afterwards. And he tried to do it with his buddies at work, and then he got reprimanded for it. He got written up at work, and he's really mad about it.
White and a social justice warrior finds out that you said the N-word 15 years ago, you might as well just clean out your desk and go home. This used to apply only to non-Democrats. Democrats have their own privilege. But nowadays, they're so thirsty for blood that they sometimes eat...
When did this happen to just non-Democrats? When did this just happen to non-Democrats? I mean, Al Franken got kicked out of his seat because he, like, put his hands where the boobs may be of a girl who was sleeping while she was wearing, like, a bulletproof vest. I mean, like, Gavin Newsom, the governor of Virginia, came out with blackface. That was a really big issue as well. It's just, I mean, I don't like just regular old cancel culture, but no one, that's just like a Twitter thing. And no one outside of who's not chronically online on Twitter cares about that. But okay.
Their own. Somewhere, a very nervous Jimmy Kimmel is wondering if Adam Carolla is hiring. The idea of racism itself.
Wait, what? The idea of racism is a privilege? Okay.
There has never been a time in history when groups of humans were not judging each other as inferior. It's built into us, and it has very little to do with skin color. In Europe...
Well, it depends on what you're talking about. Like, the idea of racism now, like as in our modern conception of race, It has a lot to do with the transatlantic slave trade. Back in Europe, if you guys forget, World War II was about Europeans fighting Europeans. Europe has been fighting itself for like ever since Europe has been Europe. Like Slavs fighting like Nords and Anglos fighting the germs, and then the Italians fighting the Italians, and then the Italians fighting the world, and then the Brits fighting the world.
This is why I'm always saying that we should all share one culture in America.
Wait, what does that mean? Wait, what do you want to like obliterate the Native American like reservations and like stop Hispanic people from like making tacos? What does that mean?
Only black people get to act as if this human problem is aimed especially at them, and to therefore make every white person eager to prove how much he likes black people. That's an advantage that no small number of blacks have turned into lucrative.
This is just racism. Holy crap. My guy, he's like, look at all these privileges black people have. When I call like someone an N-word, they get mad at me. They can use the N-word. And when I use it, they get mad at me. I can't turn on my football without seeing a freaking a black person. I can't turn on basketball without seeing a black person. They do the hips and the hops. Like this is what is this? This is just the rantings of someone who's really mad that he has to see black people like do anything but shoot each other in the ghetto. He's really mad that he's just upset. I don't understand it. This is really dumb. No one says that only black people suffer under racism. Ever heard of like what people are doing? Ever heard of like the Muslim ban? And it has less to do with Muslim people, the religion, and more to do with where you're from. Because they didn't ban like people who are Muslim. They banned people from like majority Muslim countries. I mean, like the racism against like Hispanic people, racism against Asian people, whoever says only black people experience racism. I'm genuinely curious who unironically believes that. He just made this up to get another point because he started to run out of things to say. This is ridiculous. This is really stupid.
Careers. Ask half-black Colin Kaepernick how much Nike is paying him for not playing football. He's loaded and his knees aren't even getting ruined. Except for maybe kneeling on them too much.
How stupid. Like the whole fact that he even had to do that is not privilege. Like the whole like police systematic killing of black people and the police brutality against black people, things like that, unfair treatment. This is not cool. The fact that he even had to do that is not privilege. Okay. You can't get some privilege. You can't find some esoteric privilege out of some people standing up against the oppression that they face in the country that they were born in. That's not privilege, dude. That's just trying to get by in the system that's already made against you. That's super dumb. Maybe he is for eugenics. Maybe he does like the hysterectomies at the ICE border camps. He's just one culture, one culture.
By the way, the white suck-ups who made Colin a star will do anything to avoid talking about the problem of black fatherlessness. But Kaepernick's black dad deserted his white mom, and two white people adopted and raised him so that he could get rich, complaining about white supremacy. The cool...
What? Holy crap, he's like all these uppity blacks getting mad for everything we gave you. What do you think that... They say like black fatherlessness. Take responsibility. Where do you think all these problems came from? Maybe it came from the 200 years of slavery and the 150 years of Jim Crow. Maybe. They don't want to bring that up. They just want to bring up they just want to show the results of everything. They don't want to show you how they got there.
Cool factor. Black people set most
he's
society.
Actually unironically like black people are cool and white people aren't cool. He's gonna be like black people can dance, and they do hip hop, and that's seen as cool. Wow.
Trends, and everybody else tends to follow. Many white people are desperate to be more like black people. Example. All over the country, there are blues jams packed with white dudes who live and breathe the music developed by black dudes. And because the number of black blues players is small these days, the white dudes bend over backwards to get the black dudes on stage as much as possible. In some ways, every black person gets a little bit of credit for the blues, and for jazz, and for funk, and for rock and roll too.
But he doesn't want to. But he brings up all the. Then he's gonna be like, oh, all the this society in America built by white people. Oh, he's gonna say that, but then he's gonna be like, oh, all these black people getting all this privilege for the blues. Listen, the blues, rock, R&B, hip hop, all these things are uniquely black or have like black origins. So I think it's really cool for it to continue with that group of people. I think that's really interesting. Just the same way, if I was going to go to Europe, I think it'd be really cool to see someone who's from like a native or has ancestry in that little European country to show me how they make their super specific to the region cheese that they make. I think that'd be super cool. To say that black people, that's a privilege, like the cool factor, like black people are so cool, like sure, but also that comes with like fetishization. That comes with being fetishized. That's not cool. Things like that, and like the whole thing being flipped on your head being cool to not being acceptable in other ways. Like black people's hair is like one thing. Black people being urged to like straighten their hair and things like that. That's not cool.
Black people invented almost all of what can be called American music, but not all black people invented it. Thinking that all people of a certain color should be credited or blamed for what some people of that color did is, well, racist. You are allowed to riot. Black privilege.
You're allowed to riot. No one's allowed to riot. No one's very, very few people, and all those people who will be mentioned here don't have any like political power. No one thinks that the riots are like good. Like riots aren't a good thing. The riots happen in unhappy societies. Happy societies don't riot. So we can understand riots while not endorsing them.
Privilege has strict rules. Black people must not be held to account for anything they do as a group. As long as they do it in numbers, white elites will write it off as a reaction to historic oppression. Since the George Floyd excuse came up, Marxists have hidden themselves behind African Americans. This way they can topple statues and burn down buildings at will. If there are enough black people in the crowd, no arrests will be made.
That is factually untrue. With the Proud Boys running around, basically being able to crack open like a BLM skulls with impunity, that's not, and like the whole fact that BLM exists is not privilege. Like the systematic oppression from the police and the and law enforcement and the judicial system. Calling that a privilege is incredible. No arrest. It's really funny to say no arrest will be made. Like the Lord of Antifa is plotting in his underground basement as people around him are ironing gay pride flags and the red and black insignia and printing out BLM pins. He's sitting there in his desk and he's like, "Ah, yes. Are the calculations done?" And then the nerd femboy turns around and he's like, "Yes, sir. The calculations are done. To my estimates, if we have 40% black people in the crowd, it seems like the police will perform no arrest and we can continue our rioting and looting with impunity, sir." And he's like, "Yes, perfect. Rally the blacks. We will ride at dawn." Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? This is incredible to me, to unironically think this is something that happens like in the real world. I'm shocked that he's like, no arrests will be made. Wow. The way that the police have been cracking down on BLM protesters, even peaceful ones, looking at like Lafayette Square, having peaceful protests like be like obliterated, the using smoke grenades and pepper balls and rubber bullets and things like that on protests. All the protesters who've like had to go to the hospital, who have lost eyes, who have had broken teeth, who've had their skulls cracked in, like the old guy who got like shoved to the ground in Buffalo and had his skull cracked open by the riot police there, the homeless guy who had his eyes shot out by the police. Like, are you really going to sit here and tell me that people are just allowed to riot and nothing will happen? This is incredible to me that you unironically think this. You are delusional.
The mostly white rebels of Seattle made sure that their graffiti included plenty of references to black victimology. They made sure to give a black person the bullhorn every day, and they hung a picture of Angela Davis on the police station they occupied. They even had blacks-only areas and a black warlord. They knew whose privilege was keeping the cops away. Remember the Rodney King verdict?
Okay, super, yeah, incredible. Look at this one thing that happened. Wow, look, they had a black warlord. Do you not think that he may have just been there at the right time? You think he was put there just because they're black? Maybe like the whole thing. Yeah, warlord. Yeah, super racially coded. Yeah, he's thinking of he played the old Call of Duty intro one too many times. Attack, brothers. You know, he's played that one too many time. He thinks every black person at the BLM protest is like a warlord. Wait a second, can I bring up this picture? Wait a second, can I find this picture? Give me 1 second. We found this when we were talking about that old thing with Steven Crowder. Oh man, can I find it? It was the dude, he was holding like a freaking samurai sword and he was at oh yeah, I found it. This is what he was thinking of. This is what he's thinking of when he says warlord. I am the king of this realm. You pass me. No law shall go past the one who sees all. Oh my gosh. Also, the dude standing behind him is a Boogaloo boy. So yeah, okay. Super interesting, buddy. Yeah, super interesting.
Remember how those deadly riots were justified and called an uprising? Remember 2 years later how O.J. Simpson was given 9 black jurors because L.A. was scared to death of more rioting? Remember how he skated for those murders? Again, let me...
Whoa, okay, now listen, the judicial system ran its course. Whoa, now trying to say that he skated by those murders. Hold on now. Yeah, you may want to tone back that language before you catch a charge, my duder. You want to tone back that language before you catch a charge. Yeah, and like the police just beating the shit out of like some dude. Like I said, I don't support rioting. Destroying local businesses, that's not cool. But the fact that this even was a thing had to happen is not privilege. Okay? That's not privilege. Like a civil rights movement, having to have a civil rights movement is not privilege.
Stress that most black Americans would reject this form of privilege 10 times out of 10. You were born in America. America is particularly sensitive to the history of black people. White people bear the shame of black...
I think they're particularly insensitive to the history. The fact that there has been no like formal apology for slavery, the fact that we had 150 years of Jim Crow, the fact that back in 2008, white Republicans unironically thought that white people had less privilege than black people and were under like worse like racial oppression than black people. Unironically, the fact that black people in Boston have $8 of net worth, $8. No, dude, yeah, the drug war that's still going on. The crackdown on crime that's still going on, the fact that cocaine is is a drug that's so incredibly railed against, the fact that even marijuana is still not a thing that's legalized, how black people are still systematically harmed when it comes to voting laws. Like, I mean, come on now, stop being so stupid. Like saying that America is uniquely sensitive. Yeah, and the fact that there was literally no reparations towards black people immediately after slavery, they just kind of like forgot about them. It's kind of ridiculous to say that America has been so good to black people after the slavery thing. It's just stupid. It just makes no sense.
Slavery in a way that is unique in all the world. We're the only country that split itself in half and damn near killed itself off in order to abolish slavery.
For one, okay, that was done by the what a weird reframing of the Civil War. We split ourselves in half and almost damn near killed each other because there was a large amount of the country that wanted to continue slavery into perpetuity forever. They want to enshrine the ownership, rape, torture, and murder of human beings for more money forever. That's why the Civil War was fought. The North didn't want a civil war. They just wanted to stop it with they want to slow it down. They want to slow the spread of slavery down with diplomacy. They didn't even want to stop it. It was the South that wanted to keep slavery forever. Even those small movements made them want to fight an entire war over it. Okay, that's why the Civil War happened, not because the people woke up one day and was like, we just need to stop this slavery thing. No, it didn't happen like that. What a weird whitewashing ahistorical reading of the Civil War. That's just try and score some brownie points. Well, I was just using the Civil War as an anti-racist flex. Yeah, it's really intuitive. It's really intuitive. And then I know for a fact this would be the same person who'd be like, huh, you think the North is so much better? Well, they didn't even care about slavery. I bet you didn't know that, liberal. I bet you didn't know that the Democrats liked slavery too, huh? I bet you didn't know that. Yeah, he do that same thing. He doesn't know. He doesn't care about this. He's just using it as an easy dunk point for a stupid audience, for a stupid brain.
The Republican Party was formed to eliminate slavery.
I knew it.
I would never...
He knew it. He called it.
Make the mistake of saying that slavery was a net good for black people, but more black people have emigrated to the U.S. than were ever forcibly brought here. Why would they...
Wait a second. What did I just hear?
Saying that slavery was a net world. We're the only country that split itself in half and damn near killed itself off in order to abolish slavery.
Yes, the very anti-racist 1863 America that we all know and love. The super duper anti-racist 1863 America. We all yeah, all those social justice warriors back then. Yeah, you okay.
The Republican Party was formed to eliminate slavery. I would never make the mistake of saying that slavery was a net good for black people, but more black people have emigrated to the U.S. than were ever forcibly brought here. Why would they do that if they didn't think coming here would improve their lives?
That doesn't mean that racism doesn't exist. That means they have the opportunity to make more money here than they did in their home country. That actually has nothing to do with racism here. They move here in spite of racism. Like, what are you talking about? This is so dumb. You're so dumb. I can't imagine someone unironically put together these points and thought that it was going to mean anything. And the fact that he thought that at the top of the video, my man unironically said that hip hop is a black privilege and thought that that was going to be his opening statement for this entire video just proves that this is either made for clinically stupid people or just for easy brownie points so he can get 1 million views and hop out the back door with that sweet ad revenue.
I don't see many Americans of any color emigrating to the countries from which black slaves were taken. You don't get a national holiday and a black...
Maybe, sir, maybe people don't want to immigrate to those countries because they're war-torn, because they got their freedom in 1991. You know, apartheid ended in the 90s, right? You South American apartheid, where you'd be like killed for dating a white person if you're native South American. You know that ended in the 90s, right? Maybe did I say South America? South Africa. Yeah, like the whole colonization thing, the whole Leopold III who killed 10 million people to farm. Did I say South America? Yeah, sorry, South Africa. But we could talk about South America too, like what the U.S. did in South America. 10 million people dying in the Congo, things like that. Like the scramble for Africa. Like, really? You're okay. Maybe that's why people don't want to move to Africa. Maybe that's why.
History Month without a lot of people in your corner. So that's just a rough outline of black privilege.
Yes, a very a non-important thing that happened. And yes, Black History Month isn't like that important. It's good culturally, but it's not like it's a real thing that unironically, like, systematically helps black people on a material level. It doesn't. I don't get $1,000 on Black History Month. Like, Barack Obama and Michelle Obama don't come to my doorstep and sing like a blues song to me on Black History Month. That doesn't happen. Okay, just Google changes their logo on Twitter to actual unironic black for the month, and then when February is over, it instantly goes back to whatever they were doing before. That's what happens. Okay, so that's it. And maybe in some schools you talk about the dude who made the Super Soaker, and you talk about Harriet Tubman in school, and that's cool and all, right? That's great. But we should be talking about that all the time. It shouldn't be relegated to Black History Month.
As it stands in America in 2020.
Hey, baby.
You can keep playing this silly game with the white progressives if you want to. You can keep getting together with them to play civil rights reenactors every few years, or you can cut the crap and get busy making a good life for yourself. But you should do that knowing that apart from a few powerless losers, everybody is pulling for you. Right about now, it would probably be a good idea to trade in your resentment on some confidence.
He's unironically like, when I see Tinder on Tinder's Twitter account change their logo to black in their profile picture, I know that black people really have come up in this world. This is the true privilege that black people experience. This is the true privilege. And we could go through the comment section, but we all know what it's going to be. It's just going to be a bunch of people like, I remember when I was working, I saw a black person was my hiring manager, and this means that racism does not exist anymore. We need to end affirmative action because that's racism against white people. It's going to be all of this. We've already gone through it all the time. It's stupid. I don't want to hear it again. Okay? This person is very dumb. This is a wildly dumb video. I'm honestly not entirely sure if it was a blessing or a curse that I even came across it. But I hope that you all had fun watching it, because I know I definitely didn't. Hey, listen, it was funny. I'll tell you that much.